Here.
Does anyone have my driver's license?
Any of you have her driver's license?
Anyone can have your driver's license for
Could I
just a
please?
small fee over at the merch table after the show.
Highest bidder.
Highest bidder.
Yes.
Yes.
Other question. I saw another question. Yes.
Yeah, how did you guys meet?
Hard work and perseverance.
Can you all see?
Come.
There we are. We've never gotten that question before. It's just an amazing coincidence. We happen to have this sign with us.
What are the odds?
We know they don't have camp in Britain, but it's like school but fun. And in the summer. And by fun, I mean, you know, every so often it's fun. But yeah, I don't know. Do youths just like go to work when they're 5 in the summer in Britain? Because that explains a lot about the hard work ethic that you all have here. In
Yeah, because everybody knows from Noel Coward, it's mad dogs and Englishmen that go out in the midday sun.
Oh no, Britain invented child labor laws, you know. Since
well.
like the 1830s, it's been, you know, required for children to labor all day.
Britain's no longer my favorite country.
It is restricted child labor, so there's enough work for all the children.
Thank God.
Speaking of Britain, I want to show off the hat that I made in the U.S. My proudest achievement this year. This hat here. Luke, let's get the regular lights on. It's a bit dark. There we go. So, for anyone who knows enough about both old British slang for willies and also the Los Angeles Dodgers, the baseball team in the U.S. This is an extremely narrow range of appeal. That's why I like it so much. The best jokes are the ones that only one person gets. So I'm very proud. I almost lost this the day before we got to Britain in the forest in Germany. I was so terrified. I was like, God is punishing me for something. I better do right and fly straight. And then I found it, and I was like, all right, now I'm all set. I will get to wear this in Britain, and everything will be okay. So yeah, I haven't been arrested yet, but every so often somebody looks at me funny.
Speaking of which, anyone know any police officers?
Jack's always wanted to meet a policeman. Any other questions?
Any other questions? Yes.
Have you got any observations of London?
We don't like observational comedy.
But I think she was asking if we've gone to the top of Big Ben yet, which we haven't.
Yeah, because it's under construction, yeah.
Right, so that's why we haven't been able to, and I guess, you know...
Actually, the reason, I think, isn't the top of Big Ben just for locals?
Yeah,
you have to apply to your local authority.
Yeah,
you
well,
can't do it if you're American anyway.
Americans can't do it because I heard it's only for birds.
Yeah.
That's a British pun for all of you.
Well, we can't do it, though. But she could, even though she's not British.
I'm
Right.
a British citizen.
Okay, but also you're one of the birds.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Oh.
Yeah.
If you wear the hat, they might let you in.
Oh, they will let me in because this is what birds love. A great many of them, anyhow. No, I don't know.
Weird birds.
Observations of London here. I've noticed some interesting. Here, he said we don't do observational comedy, but I have noticed some very funny differences between the States and the UK. For example, in the States we use dollars. But in the UK, they use quid. I don't understand. It's crazy.
Also, the cars are all set up differently. See, here the steering wheel's in the back of the car, right?
And in the U.S., I think it's in the front. Although it's been a while, I can't recall.
Yeah, if only I could have one of these. Now I have one, but I don't have the knowledge to have one.
Yeah, well, that would take a long time. It's 6 miles in diameter. That's a cabbie joke for all of you Brits. About the knowledge. The other difference between Britain and America is when we do this set in America, there are 200 people, whereas here, you know, there are 16. So I think, you know, just that's like the economy's very inflated here.
You're all worth
numbers
200
mean more.
people. Pat
Exactly.
yourselves on the back.
In some, you're worth 200 Americans, although in subtraction, perhaps 0. Any other questions?
Question? I see one right.
We wanna,
What's the worst thing you've eaten on tour?
Oh boy.
For me, it's this.
Yesterday at Dr. Chippy in Colchester, and the guy's like, "Are you Canadian?" Like, "No, I'm American." He's like, "Oh, I'd always like to visit America, but I can't because of my criminal record." And he's like, "Well, don't worry, it's nothing serious." It's like, "Well, was it poisoning somebody's fish?" And then he didn't respond. Then I went back the next day, and as I was leaving, he handed me a free ice cream and said, "Here, it's because you were here 2 days in a row." I don't know. Is it poison? I don't know. I'm not kidding.
His bribe to get you to not tell that story publicly backfired.
I told him I'd help him smuggle into America, but he didn't respond to that either.
We did an interview, 8 and 8 in the British Comedy Guide, where they ask you 8 sort of boring, pointless questions, and then you're supposed to come up with clever responses. And they asked our favorite shop, and the only thing we could think of was Sainsbury's. And God, I love Sainsbury's. Like, we were just there on the way here, and I was like, this is literally my favorite shop in the whole world. Everything is so cheap and delicious and so British, you can't beat it. So the worst thing I think I've eaten is not Sainsbury's. But every time I eat there, I'm so happy. So if Sainsbury's wants to sponsor our tour of the U.S. that we're doing next month, we would love that. They need publicity there because no one's heard of them. They don't have any stores.
Right, they did try to spin off there under a different name, and it failed.
Saints Cremation?
I forget it was like Fresh and Go or something.
That was Tesco, not Sainsbury's.
What was that?
Was that Tesco?
Tesco.
Oh, that was Tesco.
Same thing.
That was what they tried to spin off.
Hey, those are
as.
fighting words.
Everyone in the U.S. was very confused. They were like, I don't want to go to Tesco. I wish it was a spin-off of Sainsbury. No, all the food we've had in Britain has been amazing, You all get a bad rap for your cuisine, but honestly, I would rather eat this than anything they serve in Paris. But, that's just me. I mean, I love the British food. It's so good. You've got prawns that are so cheap. You've got rocket, which we call arugula for some reason. I don't know how that happened. And then,
it's in honor of Elton John.
That's true.
Oh man.
It's been a long, long time since I've heard you say anything. But you saved it should be a good one.
I hope you don't mind. I'm going to keep this going. How many of you have done the Pinner Walk?
Who here has seen, these two has seen where Elton John was born over in Pinner?
Yeah, we just did that on our way here. It was really fascinating. It's like looking at all the buildings locally without anything else. It was amazing.
I mean, I loved it. Yeah.
I know. He had a great time, but imagine walking past and you don't know that's where Elton John was born. It's literally just looking at any other house.
Well, it's like when you touch, it's like when you're touched, it's like when you grab onto the cloth of Jesus and you don't know it's Jesus, but you're still healed, right?
Because then you look inside, and then there's Elton John coming out of his mother's womb. It happens every 20 minutes.
I missed that part in the Bible. Yes, you had a question.
It's in the Apocrypha.
Michael, if you're such a big Elton John fan, how come you took the Elton John Safety album offline? I can't find it anywhere.
Yeah, it's unlisted now. I thought
any plans to release it on vinyl?
on vinyl or vinily, as we say in America. That's a good idea. If you pay for it, I'll do it. And how about this? If you give me $10, I'll make it listed again.
Ooh, that's a good deal.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
Has everyone here heard the Safety album by Elton John? I think it's probably Elton's best work by far.
Yeah, but lyrics by Bernie Taupin, though.
Right. Yes.
Songs include "Stay close to an adult." In case of emergency, use the stairs, not the elevator, dummy. Which is intended for an American audience because they say lift.
Right. And mannequin instead of dummy.
Oh, yes.
And then my favorite, tell a story about the chicken out of the oven once in a while.
Oh, yeah. Was it, don't leave the chicken in the oven. It might cause a fire or something. But my friend had his entire iTunes library on shuffle, and then that song came on, and he literally had his winter squash in the oven that he forgot about. And he went to go, so that literally worked, the safety album did.
Yeah, as he heard it, he was like, oh, I better take my winter squash out of my oven.
One could say that someone saved his life that day.
Yeah. Sweet sugar bear.
Yes.
What was your first show like, and how has your show changed, or how's your comedy changed?
This is the exact same set we did 10 years ago. You see, the angel Gabriel gave us strict orders not to change it at all. Yeah.
That's why we're performing here at Angel Comedy.
Yeah.
And thank you for remembering your lines from 9 years ago when we started.
Great job.
Keep coming back.
Yeah, no, the wonderful thing about continuing to perform is eventually your audiences get smaller.
And the sad thing is that we never make any money because we have to keep paying this guy to come to our show every single time and deliver the exact same line.
You all remember, you've been at all 143 of our performances.
So the audience is literally smaller because, you know, you guys are all British and not fat Americans.
It's true, thank God for that. Another great thing about your cuisine, I can't say enough nice things about the food here. Anything else? Oh, please.
How are we
ignore
doing
Jack.
for time, by the way?
Yeah, what does that clock say, Luke?
7:20.
Ah, okay. That's quite lovely.
What time is we out?
We need to be out in about 20 minutes, so we're okay.
If anyone has a question that takes 20 minutes to articulate, go ahead.
Who's staying for the next fellow? Who? Well, I'm glad that all of you know that you've seen the best comedy of the night. We want to give a shout out to
All these people who paid for a reserved seat but didn't show up.
we want to give a shout out to Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, where you get lots of different jokes that are not these, and will probably be the only way you get to see us, because it wouldn't surprise me if this was our last ever show in London proper. As much as we love London, you know, it's a bit pricey to come over here from America. So with that said, please buy all of our merch that we have right out the door. One other thing we did not mention, in addition to the 2 shirts that half of you have seen, we have all region DVD of the documentary about us that is on Netflix. The only copies of this DVD in the whole world we're selling on this show.
Comes with special features. Yeah, on the back of the disc, there's a very, very shiny thing that's pleasant to look at. And if you're lucky, a beautiful, beautiful person.
But, you know, for some of you it will be unpleasant to look at. I don't want to name names, but you'll know when you look at your own reflection. So, yes.
Can we persuade you to do the Edinburgh Festival?
Only if you can pay us enough to come back, which is a challenge.
No, he's talking about our Edinburgh Festival sketch. You want to do that one?
Oh, okay. All right. Let's see. How did that one go?
There were a lot of us in a library with a fella who was telling us a very drawn-out story that was not particularly climactic, but very intriguing to listen to.
Oh, and then the punchline was, you know, turned out he was a Frenchman.
Yeah.
This is a real thing that happened when we played Edinburgh. This fella he was so entertaining because he was very compelling as a storyteller.
Jolly old Scotsman, right? I think a true Scotsman. I'm not
The
sure.
only one.
Yeah. And so he had a white beard, you know, and he had his private library up in this building, full of interesting artifacts like little insects in jars and things.
Very nice guy.
Yeah.
So then he would tell us stories, and the stories would be like, so I met this woman, and she introduced me to her neighbor, and her neighbor turned out to be a Frenchman. That's it. The story goes nowhere. But he'd take a lot longer to tell it, and he'd be like whispering, you know, like, so she introduced me. I mean, it's like you're like on the edge of your seat, and then there's no punchline, no point to the story at all.
But his technique was excellent.
Yeah, exactly. If he had good, he's kind of like the Elton
He's
John.
Elton John, yeah.
Yeah, he needed Bernie.
Yeah, write the words.
So yeah, that was our one experience in Edinburgh when we did a show there 2 years ago.
Oh, so
Who of you was there? Just kidding. There were 4 people there.
No, come on, be fair. There were 10.
Well,
Yeah.
4 people who paid.
But also, here's a question. So we mentioned the Netflix thing. Who here has heard of the other documentary thing we were in? Who here has found a way to watch it?
Oh, lovely.
Please
share it with everyone else.
Yeah, how'd you watch it?
torrented it.
Nice, thank you.
Don't tell anyone.
We will.
Don't tell
Just
HBO.
pirated it.
We will. We're going to call HBO and say, we found 2 pirates, and they say, we don't care. We want as many people to see it as possible. So please spread it around because we wish the UK had gotten to see it. It's quite good. Our HBO program, much better than our Netflix program, but as with everything, you get screwed. We wish you had the chance. Yeah, so Edinburgh Festival, we'd love to, but we want to give a shout out to our friend Jamie Loftus, who will be right here in about a month doing her one-woman show. She's quite funny. I haven't even seen her one-woman show, but it's called Boss Huma's Girl. She's doing Edinburgh previews right here, so I don't know. If I were in town, I would come see it. We like her very much. Any other questions? Yes?
It's not really a question, but just to the guy in the back with the curly hair. When we showed up, you said, I need a prop for the show. It's a pint of beer.
Yeah.
I'm trying to show you can use a pint of beer. Much respect to you. I'm definitely going to use that one.
So, to be fair, we were going to do that sketch and then we cut it. I think it may have been a mistake.
Well, that was a good thing because if it was that sketch, it was going to get dumped on me.
Right.
And Ethan's a teetotaler, which is why it's funny. So, teetotaler, right.
Yeah, we do have another need for a prop, which is, does anyone have 50 quid?
Yeah.
We need it for the bit we're going to do at the merch table, as change in case someone tries to pay us in hundreds. We also wanted to mention, aside from the merch I've already mentioned, we have one other thing, which we're just selling just this week for the first time ever, which is death certificates signed by AspergersAreUs. So we have everything filled out. All you have to do is write your name and your age and your date of birth, and we'll give you a death certificate that you can frame and hopefully, never need.
And that's true, but it's actually a lie. There's actually 2 things we're selling for the first time.
That's true.
I am selling a piece of an Iowa ceiling that fell in on me while I was staying with this Mormon friend of ours.
Not really a friend, more of a stranger.
Yeah.
But he became our
More
friend
an
by
enemy.
being extremely nice to us in the very stereotypical Mormon fashion.
You all don't have Mormons in this country, is that true?
We get the missionaries.
You call them Church of Latter-day Saints here, but yes.
But yes.
Anyway, if anyone would like a fragment of Iowa that likes to attack people by dropping in on them from above, you're welcome to purchase it at the table.
Historic Davenport, Iowa, which is the site of the first bridge to ever cross the Mississippi River. Everybody knows it.
And the last. It'll be the last to be destroyed in the upcoming war.
Yeah. Between America and Britain.
Please don't tell Customs that he didn't declare that he has pieces of an Iowa roof with him. No, the Mormon fellow who we stayed with was so nice. The night we arrived, he went to the store at 1 a.m. to buy us breakfast, which he cooked and left out for us while he went to church. He was such a sweetheart. But
So if
also,
you're ever in Davenport, Iowa.
Yeah. But also, he has a very strangely narrow life. He had, I don't even want to talk about his bizarre traits, but he was a very sweet man.
He slept on the floor even though there was a perfectly empty couch right next to it.
Yeah,
because
the ceiling fell on him.
Right, because he knew the ceiling was going to fall on him.
Very kind.
Well, God is punishing him for only buying us 5 instead of the 6 apples I asked for.
How do you like them apples?
Yeah.
All right, I think it's 7:30.